A brutal and inexplicable crime that made no sense. To what extent does the coldness and evilness of a human being reach? What is the price of a life? For the author of this crime, the life of her husband would have a value of 18,000 reais, approximately $3,600. Yes, it's quite revolting. This case that recently occurred in Brazil, more precisely in Bahia. A young, beautiful, married woman with 2 children had a single life goal: to inherit and spend the money as she pleased. Her obstacle at that moment, when she only wanted to enjoy life and flaunt on social media something that wasn't her reality, was precisely her husband. And, like any cold, calculating person determined to satisfy themselves, she needed to remove anyone who hindered her new goals, and that's exactly what she did, in an unforgivable act. Today, we will talk about the José Vicente and Angélica Godin case. A planned and desired crime by the perpetrator, Angélica Godin, 29 years old, who aimed to show off a life of luxury by spending the inheritance inherited from her father. According to investigations and the victim's sister, José Vicente de Cerqueira Sena, 40 years old, these reasons were enough for Angélica to plan and execute the death of her husband, with whom she had 2 underage children. Angélica, without thinking about the consequences of her actions, initiated a plan that would leave her children fatherless and deeply traumatized. The crime occurred on Wednesday, September 6, 2023, in the early hours of the morning, in the city of Luís Eduardo Magalhães, in the far west of Bahia. The victim was a merchant and a native of Feira de Santana, but had been living in Luís Eduardo Magalhães for 13 years. In his work, José bought cars, refurbished them, and sold them, an illegal practice in Brazil. José also profited by lending money at interest, a well-known procedure as loan sharking. Angélica was an entrepreneur, the owner of a clothing store in the city. What initially seemed like an attempted robbery turned out, on the same day, to be a crime commissioned by the wife herself. The crime occurred at the couple's residence, where Angélica facilitated the hitman's entry and indicated where her husband was. In the images from the residence's security camera that captured the entire action, it's possible to see the killer entering the house as soon as Angélica takes the car out of the garage. The man, with his face covered by a red shirt, waits for her to leave the vehicle to show where José was, who was taking a shower at that moment. During the action, José was shot for the first time in the bathroom, and even though wounded, he managed to react, running out of the house. He ran out without clothes in an attempt to survive, and the assassin continued the pursuit, aided by another suspect waiting in a vehicle in front of the house. The men fought with José until, once again, he managed to run to an abandoned lot, being caught and shot several times. The victim was rescued and taken to a hospital in the city but did not survive the injuries and passed away. According to Josiane, José's sister, the couple's 2 children, aged 3 and 4, were inside the house during the crime. Angélica reportedly entered the room where the boys were while her husband was being killed. The children heard everything. Still at the crime scene, police investigators were suspicious of Angélica's behavior. According to the investigators, the woman spontaneously provided the phone device containing the videos from the couple's home cameras. However, she had turned off the security device's power before the crime, thinking that the images wouldn't be recorded, but this didn't happen because the cameras had their own battery system. After police analysis, Angélica's involvement in the homicide was confirmed. She was arrested on the same day and upon arriving at the police station, confessed to the crime, stating that her partner threatened her with death because of a commercial disagreement between the couple, but no evidence of this was found. Angélica wasn't alone in this macabre plan to end her husband's life. According to information discovered by the police, the individuals who indicated the hitmen were a friend of Angélica named Michael. Michael and Angélica had met when Angélica was still involved with another man who was incarcerated. They always met on days of intimate visits at the prison door and ended up forming a friendship. When Angélica had the cruel idea to kill her husband, she contacted her friend, who provided her with contacts of people who could carry out the act for her. However, Michael knew well how to separate friendship from business and decided to help her friend by charging for the service provided. She asked for 1,000 reais, approximately $200, in cash as payment for her help. This money was paid on the same day as the crime. After indicating the hitmen, Angélica allegedly offered the men 18,000 reais to kill her husband. The payment was divided into parts. The first, worth 3,000 reais, was paid 2 days before the crime on September 4th. Received images show that the transfer was made in the name of Wesley Santos de Paiseo Pereira, who allegedly participated in the crime. The possible accomplice, Michael, is still being sought by the police to give a statement about the case. The hitmen, who allegedly came from the interior of Piauí, are also being sought by investigators. According to information provided by the victim's family, Angélica and José Vicente seemed like a united couple beyond suspicion. They had been married for 9 years, but what seemed to be only roses for José soon turned into harsh thorns as soon as Angélica received a luxury car, a Hilux, as an inheritance from her father. It was at that moment that the marriage soured and the arguments began. Angélica wanted to sell the vehicle and use the money for travel and parties, something her husband didn't agree with. So, to keep the inheritance just for herself, the woman decided to kill her husband. After the crime, José Vicente's family was informed of what happened through an aunt of Angélica and the assassin herself, who, in an attempt to cover up her criminal act, in a completely deceitful manner, sympathized with his family's grief. According to José's sister's account, Angélica called her in tears, very upset to tell her about what happened. During the trip from Feira de Santana to Luís Eduardo Magalhães to attend the wake, Josiane still didn't know that her brother's wife was suspected of being the mastermind behind the murder. She said that they were consoling each other all the time. When she arrived at the wake, Josiane asked a relative about the wife, who replied that she had been detained for security reasons. I said, "Get a lawyer to see what's going on because she has to attend her husband's wake. How can they arrest the widow?" When it was in the morning, in the early hours, we found out that she had been the mastermind of the crime. It was a shock to the family. Because my mother considered her as a daughter, said the victim's sister. In addition to the children with Angélica, José had 2 more daughters, aged 13 and 16, from another relationship and who reside in Feira de Santana, who were also left without a father. According to Josiane, the children still don't know what happened to their father. She said that the youngest son talks to his grandmother and imitates the sound of gunshots since he heard the attack against his father. The kids ask more about him because he used to go out with them, so they ask more about their father. They say, "Grandma, is Daddy coming to get me?" And my mother evades the questions. Yes, he is coming. The youngest one reports the noises all the time. For them, It's something like a bomb because at the time of the shooting, from the bathroom to the couple's room, it wasn't even 20 meters. It was very close, and the boys were awake at that time, said Josian. José Vicente's family filed for custody to take care of the children, and now they are with José's paternal family. According to authorities, Angélica had been planning the crime for 10 days. She remains in custody, still without a trial date. The executor of the crime and the driver who took him to the site have not yet been found by the police. Angélica's friend, who was also involved in the crime, has not been found to provide testimony about the case. For the police, the reason behind all of this is that Angélica wanted to control and enjoy all the family's assets without anyone controlling her, spending on expensive trips and showing off on social media. It's unbelievable that someone could commit a crime like this, killing the father of their children, for such a trivial and selfish reason. A man who, according to his family, was good, hardworking, and had a good relationship with the murderer Angélica and their 2 children, and who unfortunately, despite fighting for his life, did not survive the injuries. 2 children, still very young to understand everything that happened, who were left with a deceased father and a mother in prison. On the other hand, a family, José Vicente's family, who until today has not found answers to such cruelty and only remained with the good memories of a good father, a good son, a good husband, and a good brother. Leave your opinion on this case in the comments, subscribe to the channel to discover more stories like this, and don't forget to leave a like. See you in the next video.